Hello, everybody. Let me know when you're ready, Kyle. Someone said hello back. Let me make sure. Is anyone, can you hear me, everybody?
I can hear you. I was just being rude. Hi.
Yes.
Okay, just making sure.
Switch the channel. We are live, so we're ready to go.
Okay. Call to order the regular meeting, virtual meeting of the Rio Dell City Council. Roll call, please.
Mayor Garnes.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Here.
Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Wilson.
Here.
Councilmember Woodall.
Here.
City Manager Knopp.
Here.
Chief of Police Connor. Finance Director Dillingham.
Here.
Community Development Director Caldwell. Water Superintendent Jensen.
Here.
Wastewater Superintendent Taylor.
Here.
And City Clerk Dunham's present. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Public presentations. This is the time for persons who wish to address the council on any matter not on this agenda and over which the council has jurisdiction. As such, a dialogue with the council or staff is not allowed under the Ralph M. Brown Act. Items requiring council actions not listed on this agenda may be placed on the next regular agenda for consideration if the council directs, unless a finding is made by at least 2/3 of the council that the item came up after the agenda was posted and is of an urgency nature requiring immediate action. Please limit comments to a maximum of 3 minutes. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There are currently no hands raised.
And I have no emails.
Thank you. And we will move on to the consent calendar. Would anyone, any council member like to remove any item from the consent calendar? Hearing none, would any staff or any hands raised or email in that would like to remove anything from the consent calendar? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I'll motion. It's Carter.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second. Woodall.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson.
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. And we will move on to the staff communications, city manager and staff update. City manager is page 36 in your packets.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. I'll just update you on kind of where we're at with the latest regulations and returning to the council chambers. Staff is working very hard on developing a hybrid meeting format where we would continue to have Zoom capable meetings and yet at the same time also be able to meet in person in the chambers. So we're working on some tech solutions, and we were hopeful that with that opportunity would be able to be offered for this meeting. Unfortunately, last week on Thursday, we got news that Cal OSHA had actually retracted some of its earlier guidelines related to the reopening of workplaces. And so that threw in, I think, a lot of confusion about really what we were required to do in the chamber to reopen it, because the proposed guidelines that were then retracted were pretty open. And then they reverted back to the 2020 rules by default, which are obviously stricter. So my understanding is that Cal OSHA will be meeting again on the 17th to reconsider the rules and set up some new structures for that. So we are targeting, potentially July 5th, depending on the information that we receive on that. We'll keep the council updated on progress on that. With that, I don't have any other further updates, and happy to turn it back to the mayor, see if there's any additional comments or questions of staff.
Thank you. So I will go first to Mayor Pro Tem Johnson. Any questions?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I had a question about for City Clerk Dunham. The building permit that was issued for 955 Dinsmore Ranch Road for 27 greenhouses. Approximately how many square feet are they going to build?
That they're approximately 5,000 square feet each. And we haven't actually issued the permit yet because we're waiting for some more information from them. I processed it, but they haven't actually picked it up yet. We do expect that to occur this week. But I understand it's something like, around 5,000 square feet each one of canopy times 27. That's a lot.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is that all, Mayor Pro Tem?
That's all. Thank you, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson?
Yes, only real question I have is to the chief. On your stop data comparison pie charts, what does non-gender mean to us? I mean,
So I
or
don't.
I'm sorry, non-binary, not non-gender, non-binary.
So I don't believe the chief may be on later at the meeting. I believe he had to go to an important meeting early this evening. But he did tell me that he might be able to attend later in the evening.
I think that's really the only question I have. Is just to understand what it means. I'm not debating it. I just want to know what non-binary means.
Exactly. Thank you. Councilmember Woodall?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. Well, I was going to thank the chief for his story about the man who wanted his kittens back from Miranda's rescue. I read that out loud a few times, and it reads like a short story. I was also going to ask about water rights meetings and if there was anything of note about that. Just how did that go? What's happening with water rights meetings?
So there's no update to provide to the council at this point. So we're hopeful that the last rains helped provide some additional supply to the river at this point. So
Awesome. Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. And let's see, I wondered, one is I'm pretty sure I saw Marion Brady out, might have been last Sunday, out with a few people under the sign at the gateway. Is there a status update on that?
yeah, so we have received a proposal and that is in the process of being approved, and so that we're hopeful, although I wouldn't count on it, but we're hopeful that the work can be completed by the end of June of this month.
Right.
It's a tight timeline. It was what I had requested, but I have a feeling that it will go into July, but that process is finally being wrapped up.
Awesome. Thank you. And what is happening on the streets project right now? I know that they were getting things ready before they laid asphalt. So what is going on in the moment?
Yeah, so my understanding is that they'll start paving here next week. They have been doing all the drainage prep and prep work on that. Randy's been working pretty closely with the crew to make minor amendments to the project. But everything's still on schedule, and expected completion is before halfway through July.
Awesome. Thank you. And those are all the questions that I have. Are there any hands raised or emails regarding the staff report?
Currently, I see no hands.
And I have no emails.
Thank you. Then we will move on to the presentation and update of public safety power shutoffs from Pacific Gas and Electric, page 42 in your packets. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Gardens, members of the council. I do want to thank Allison Talbot from PG&E for being here to just present an update on this particular topic for Rio Dell, being the southernmost city and closest to fire danger. I do have a PowerPoint that I will be administering for Allison, so bear with me 1 second as I pull it up on the screen here. And Allison, I will go ahead and if you can hear us, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Welcome, Allison. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you, Mayor and Council. Good evening. Again, I'm Allison Talbot, PG&E's local government relations representative for Humboldt County. I'm calling in from my home just outside of Eureka and right next door to my kitchen where my family is making dinner. So if you hear anything, that's it. Thank you. So tonight I'm going to talk about what we're doing to reduce the threat of wildfire in the Humboldt area and system-wide. I plan to emphasize ways PG&E can assist customers with preparations for a PSPS, and I'll also touch on the Humboldt Bay Generating Station islanding project. Next slide. We can go through this one quick. We start every meeting with a safety focus. This slide has some general safety information. I'll just mention, we have our version of a heat wave coming in. Encourage everyone to stay hydrated and keep an eye on your pets. Next slide, please. At PG&E, our most important responsibility is the safety of our customers and communities. We all know California continues to experience an increase in wildfire risk and a longer wildfire season. So over the last decade, the frequency and severity of wildfires in California has increased exponentially. So on this slide is one of the tools we use when assessing wildfire risk. It's the Fire Threat Map of California. The map was developed by the California Public Utilities Commission in coordination with CAL FIRE and the U.S. Forest Service. It is based on input from electric utilities, communications infrastructure providers, and local public safety agencies. It helps us to plan for potential wildfire and then focus our prevention efforts. As you can see on the map, nearly a third of the electric lines that provide our customers with power are now in high fire threat areas. And you can see the high fire threat map for Rio Dell. And on this map, orange is tier 2 elevated and red is tier 3 extreme risk. If you wanted to, you could find this map by visiting cpuc.ca.gov/fire threat maps. Next slide, please. We are continuing to evolve the Community Wildfire Safety Program, or CWSP, in order to strengthen and improve our electric system for the safety of customers and communities. The focus areas include meeting and also exceeding state vegetation safety standards to manage trees and other vegetation located near power lines that could cause a wildfire or power outage. We're continuing to build a safer and more resilient system by hardening lines and installing sectionalizing devices that help to reduce the size of PSPS events. And we're testing and using new tools and technologies to pinpoint how to best prevent and respond to the risk of wildfires. We are working year-round to improve PSPS events for our customers and communities by providing more resources before, during, and after events. We're definitely focused on listening to our customers, learning from better data and technology, and providing more resources than ever before for the events themselves. We all rely on electricity every day. We want to work with our customers on solutions that minimize the risks to our infrastructure during times of high fire threat. Next slide, please. In 2021, we're building on the improvements we made last year and are continuing to reduce wildfire risks through hardening the grid, addressing vegetation, tracking weather conditions, and monitoring for wildfires. And we're working to reduce PSPS impacts by installing over 275 additional distribution sectionalizing devices and transmission switches to limit the number of customers impacted by events. The sectionalizing devices separate the grid into smaller sections. And we're continuing to improve our weather modeling and refining our forecasting through 5-day forecast data. We're preparing 10 more substations to accept temporary generation. And finally, on this slide, we are supporting customers and communities by providing more resources. We're sending customer notifications in 16 languages. We're providing new address alerts, which allow customers and non-customers to sign up to receive an alert about any address they choose. It's a significant improvement from past practice. Previously, customers who lived in a master meter setting, like a mobile home park or some apartment buildings, or folks whose landlord is the customer of record, they weren't able to look up if they'd be impacted by a PSPS event. So we've now enabled a system where you can look for events by address. Also quite useful if you're concerned for an elderly loved one or want to track your daycare or office. We are providing batteries to low-income medical baseline customers in high fire threat areas. We're targeting 370 community resource center sites. We're providing meal replacement options for customers in 46 counties, including Humboldt. And we're expanding our partnerships with community-based organizations to better support customers who have access and functional needs. Next slide, please. This is a bit of a Humboldt County overview. We are, we're working to improve the safety and reliability of our system. We've provided here like an overview of some of our local wildfire safety and customer support efforts, system hardening, sectionalizing, enhanced veg management, community resource centers, weather stations, and high definition cameras. But this slide frustrates me. I feel like some of these numbers would benefit from some explanation. For example, the enhanced vegetation management reflects just 0.4 miles completed. We have actually completed a good portion of that work, but the necessary verification process hasn't occurred yet. So more work's been done, more work's ongoing and planned. And it also doesn't reflect other resilience work that we're completing, including our routine veg management, manual pole clearing being completed by our safety infrastructure protection team, substation defensible space work. And we have also commenced air patrols in advance of the PSPS season. It's typically helicopter patrols. They help identify hazards, provide for better circuit mapping, and reduce restoration times, and help us plan for our in-event response. The next slide is going to be a little remedial for you guys, I think, but for the safety of our customers and communities, public safety power shutoff continues to be a necessary tool in our wildfire safety toolkit as a last resort. High winds can cause tree branches and debris to contact energized electric lines, damaging our equipment and causing a wildfire. As a result, we may need to turn off power during severe weather conditions to help prevent wildfires. I want to emphasize these events are always weather driven, and they are only called when extreme weather and wildfire risk are present. And because electricity can travel several miles from the generation source to get to your home or business, you can be affected by a PSPS if the electrical infrastructure that serves you is affected by high winds and severe weather, even if that weather is miles away from your location. Very common refrain I hear is, it's not even windy at my house. Why is the power out? And that is because the infrastructure that serves your home is in an area that has the severe weather. Next, I'm going to talk about what conditions could lead to a PSPS event. When we're deciding if the power must be shut off for the safety of our communities, we review a combination of factors, not any one of these, but a combination, because each weather situation is unique. We're going to carefully analyze humidity levels, forecast of high winds, the condition of dry material on the ground and low moisture content of the vegetation, a red flag warning, and real-time ground observations from our Wildfire Safety Operations Center, as well as from crews who are working across the service territory. This year, our decision-making process is evolving to also account for the presence of trees tall enough to strike power lines, trees that are not within our right-of-way. So every wildfire season is different, and the ongoing drought and the conditions will determine the number of times we'll need to shut off power. This set of criteria is a first step, which may lead to further analysis from our meteorology team to determine if an event is necessary. Next slide, please. So this is how our customers will be notified. We'll always do our best to share what we know about the weather and our equipment as soon as we can, keeping in mind, of course, weather conditions can be uncertain. You can expect to receive notifications 2 days before an event when we're in watch mode, 1 day also in watch mode. Then in warning mode, you would hear from us just before de-energizing the power lines, and then once a day during the event, finally once we've restored power. We will provide updates to our customers through automated calls, texts, and emails. I really encourage you and all of your constituents to review the contact information that we have on file for you by visiting pge.com/mywildfirealerts. Again, this year we've launched our address alerts, which are available in multiple languages. And we also, of course, provide PSPS updates at pge.com, local news, radio outlets, and on our social media channels. Again, just if I could emphasize, it's really worthwhile working with a county supervisor in another county this winter during a severe winter storm. He reached out to me and said, I haven't heard anything from you guys. What is going on? And come to find out, he had, years ago put in an old email address, and that was all we had for him. So that's how we were communicating. Once he went to pge.com/mywildfirealerts, he was able to sign up for text messages, which was his preferred way of hearing from us. It's easy to do, and it can be pretty important. So next slide, please. One of the steps we've taken on the North Coast is to reconfigure the Humboldt Bay Generating Station in King Salmon to allow for islanding. That project could be an entire presentation on its own, and I would be happy to come back and talk about that. I will say I could anticipate questions from Councilmember Wilson that I probably couldn't answer, so I would bring someone who is a little bit more tech savvy than I am, but I'm happy to do that if you guys ever want detailed information on that. The island, though, allows portions of Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties, shaded in green on this map, to be separated from the larger California electric grid and energized exclusively from the generating station in King Salmon. This means that HBGS, as we referred to it, Humboldt Bay Generating Station, will be able to safely provide power to up to 67,000 customers locally during a PSPS event when high fire threat conditions outside of our area are impacting the transmission lines that serve us. We've maximized the size of the islanded area that we can safely energize. We successfully kept the power on for our customers when it was safe to do so during 2020 PSPS events, which you may not even know we had because we were able to keep everyone energized, but without the island, that would not have been the case. We may need still to turn off power to some of the areas shown here if the high fire threat conditions exist locally. The island is what separates us from the areas that typically have high fire threat. So I don't want to downplay the not likelihood, but I would certainly encourage folks to be resilient and to have a plan. The map shows the area potentially energized by the island during a PSPS event, and the size of the energized area is scalable to the scope of the PSPS event and other conditions that could be impacting the larger grid at that time. I think next slide, please. I am nearly done in case you guys are panicking. There's just a couple of more. This one is about customer preparedness and resources. We are doing a lot more to help customers and communities this year. We're partnering with community-based organizations, working side by side to provide support and resources throughout a PSPS event. We're expanding language offerings, providing information in 16 non-English languages. We're increasing meal replacement options by collaborating with local food banks and Meals on Wheels to provide food replacement packages to cover folks who are impacted by a PSPS. We're collaborating with the California Foundation for Independent Living Centers Disability Disaster Access and Resources Program to enable qualifying customers who use electrical medical devices to access backup portable batteries through a grant or a lease to own or financial loan application. And additional assistance through this program includes access to transportation resources, hotel vouchers, food stipends during or following an event. We're also providing batteries through a portable battery program to low-income medical baseline customers who have critical medical needs. And we're providing generator rebates. This one is quite new and I think important for the Humboldt community. We're offering customers who depend on a well water pump and live in high fire threat areas rebates for purchasing a qualified portable generator. We're currently partnering with 7 community-based organizations in Humboldt County. We're conducting outreach and hoping to partner with 2 more. I would welcome any suggestions on additional organizations that we should look to in the future, though I will say our partners in Humboldt, whether that's the food bank, Tri-Counties Independent Living, we're really happy with their work to help our customers. The next slide is more information and tools to prepare. It's pretty busy, you can see that, but I think what I would have you take away from this slide is any of these resources can be found by going to pge.com/wildfire safety. It's really a one-stop shop. It's a good kind of landing site if you're only going to remember one website, pge.com/wildfire safety. That is the conclusion of my presentations, but I'm certainly willing to take any questions or comments.
Well, thank you very much. It was a very thorough presentation, and it answered some questions. I was just about to write down a question, and you answered it before I could ask it. So that was awesome.
Good.
I will open it up to the council and see if they have any questions. Councilmember Carter.
Thank you. No questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Woodall.
Allison, great presentation, but no more questions. You did a good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
Yeah, so great presentation, Allison, and thank you for coming. It would probably be nice to have a presentation sometime on the Humboldt Bay Power Plant, but I would particularly like to thank PG&E for their thoroughness and aggressiveness to make that a successful ability to island Humboldt County. So I know that's appreciated. It's appreciated in the way that you don't realize, like you said, that people didn't probably know that there was a PSPS event because you guys picked up the slack and didn't let the power go off. So pass that on to your superiors, and we say thank you from the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I will do so.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, and thank you, Allison, for this update. Very thorough, very impressive, and PG&E is doing things right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And as I said, you answered my question before I could ask it, so thank you. And I just want to back what Councilmember Wilson said and thank PG&E and thank you for all from the city. It was really nice not having to know if there was a PSPS, so that's a great
Same
thing.
here.
Are there any hands raised or emails asking questions?
Currently, I still see no hands raised.
And there are no emails.
Okay, then. Well, I think we thank you very much, and you get to go have dinner with your lovely family. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And I'm going to click off now. Thank you. See you again.
All right, take care. Now we will move on to the update on universal collection. Page 65 in your packet, City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes, members of the council. So this will just be a short update on where we're at in terms of universal collection. So as the council's aware, really Rio Dell is not in the driver's seat in this particular situation. Our customer base is relatively small, and so what the best efficiency is to do it as a regional partner with Fortuna and Ferndale, moving that process forward. So we did meet earlier with the city manager from Fortuna and Recology staff to kind of discuss the latest development. And the overall timeline is still really in place. And what we're looking at is the potential January 1st, 2023 implementation of universal collection. The universal collection rates, if the process moves forward in Rio Dell, would not be implemented until July of that year. So 6-month kind of gap between implementation and the implementation of the rates themselves. So Fortuna has some work to do. Obviously, they're under significantly more pressure regarding state legislation, SB 1383 and whatnot, and the region itself doesn't really have a organics recycling facility. So there's a lot that goes into this that Fortuna is considering, and so we understand that, and their process is moving forward. I believe they're having another meeting on Monday to discuss some of the details. And so we'll be certainly updating the council as we move forward. We'll be receiving a draft ordinance here shortly that will begin the staff review of along with the city attorney. With that, I will go ahead and turn it over to Linda Wise, the general manager of Recology Eel River, to see if she has any other additions.
I think that summed it up. I was glad that we're still on pace, and it seems like we're all working well together to make sure that Rio Dell and Ferndale are able to take on the benefit along with Fortuna to have this package put together at a cost favorable way.
So with that, that's just the basic update. We had Linda here for our rate adjustment, the annual meeting, and so we just wanted to take the opportunity while Linda's here to be able to ask any additional questions that the council might have. I don't have an updated calendar in terms of where we're at in terms of implementation, but I hope to be able to bring that back on July 5th, an amended calendar for Rio Dell's portion of this effort. With that, I will return it back to Mayor Garnes, see if there's any questions.
Thank you, City Manager. And thank you, Linda. Thank you for being here. I will go out to the council. Councilmember Wilson.
Just a quick question. If I'm understanding it Fortuna still hasn't made an official decision on universal collection.
So
Shall I answer that? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Linda.
They have not as of yet. They had another step to go, and they're taking on some advice from the state Cal Recycle to clarify some items before we go forward. This week we finished a draft of a new franchise agreement that includes 1383 and universal garbage collection for them, which will probably be the same contract that we would have with Rio Dell. So we'll be reviewing it in the next week or so.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
No questions, but I always like when Linda's here. You give good presentations, so thank you.
And she's not even finished yet.
I know.
Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. This is probably as much a comment or observation for city staff as much as it is for Linda and Recology, but page 70 of our packet gives an idea of what small garbage users are paying now. A bag costs a little bit short of $2 a week, and a small can at a little over $5 a week. I would hope that when we get to mandatory garbage pickup and 96-gallon garbage cans, that the people that are now paying less than $2 or a little bit more than $5 a week, their rates aren't going to go up. And it's going to mean that city staff is going to have to do some to those folks so that we can continue to treat them fair and not monetary burden on them, because they don't generate much in the way of garbage. Thank you very much, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And Councilmember Woodall.
Oh, just one quick question. Did you say that when we go to universal pickup, our rates probably won't change until 2023, the year of 2023? Or did I get that wrong?
Yeah. So aside from the annual changes that are associated with the consumer price index, the implementation of universal collection would not appear on any rates, either pluses or minuses would not appear on any rates until mid 2023.
Thank you, Kyle. That's all.
Thank you. And I have no questions. So are there any hands raised or emails?
Currently, no hands.
And there are no emails.
Okay, then I'll thank you, but I know you're still going to be here, so I won't overthank you. I'll just move on to the next item, which is approving the annual rate adjustment with Recology Eel River and accept it as an amendment to the solid waste and recycling franchise agreement. City Manager, page 66 in your packets.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. So this, as the mayor stated, is our annual rate adjustment, occurs every year in June. It is required to be not placed on the consent calendar, but a open item for presentation and discussion. And so we have been doing this with previously with the Eel River disposal up until 2017 and 2018. Recology Eel River took over our solid waste franchise contract and have been administering that ever since. So I will go ahead and turn the presentation over to Linda Wise, Recology Eel River's General Manager.
Hi. Yes, the rate increase this year pretty much represents the rate increase based on CPI, as we do every year. And CPI is applied to the cost of operating the collection portion of the contract. There's a separate portion of the contract that deals with what the costs are for disposal. And another third part that was put on after we got into the recycling processing agreement, which was to impact the rate by the recycling processing fee. So as the recycling processing fee goes up and down, it affects the rates. Now in the city of Rio Dell, the recycling processing fee only affects less than 5% of what the rate increases are. So this year we have a average rate increase that's about 2.5% to all your rate bases, because your rate bases are determined by what the size of your cans are, or the size of the containers. But on average, it's about 2.5% this year. That includes CPI and any increases to the recycling processing fee. I can't tell if I'm seen or not.
Just to further go into it, our solid waste fees themselves, we have a kind of a detailed schedule on page 68 where you can kind of parse out the rates related to our franchise holder, and the changes there are rates related to the Humboldt Waste Management Authority, of which Rio Dell is a member, and then any other fee associated with solid waste collection in the city of Rio Dell. And then on top of these are fluctuations in the in recycling rates, which we do know are have been going up for the past few years. It used to be under Eel River disposal that recycling generated revenue for the city, for the franchise hauler, and that has obviously changed over the past few years as some of the recycling requirements have increased, and some of the standards have increased in terms of what is exported outside of the United States. So with that, I'll go ahead and return it back to the mayor to see if there's any questions, and then we'll be back at least by this time next year to discuss the next adjustments related to CPI.
Thank you, City Manager. Councilmember Woodall.
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
No questions, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter.
And no questions for me. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilmember Wilson.
No question.
Thank you. No questions from me. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There are currently no hands raised.
And there are no emails.
All right, Linda, it was a good run. This was an easy one for you. Good job. Thank you so very much for your for coming and for both presentations. We appreciate your time.
Well, I appreciate being able to do work in your city. Thank you.
All right. And so is there, wait. There might be an action here. Let me get back to my page. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the proposed rate adjustment to the solid waste franchise? We have a motion, and we have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second, Carter.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter,
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson,
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Garnes.
Yes, the motion carries 5-0. Thank you again, Linda. Now we will move to the second reading and adoption of ordinance number 389-2021, amending chapter 2.55 commissions, boards, agencies, and task forces, and section number 10.05.100, Traffic Committee of the Rio Dell Municipal Code, page 78 in your packet. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes and members of the council. So this item creates a beautification, walkability, and pride committee within the city. Back on June 1st, the City Council held its first reading of the proposed ordinance, numbered 389-2021. And the council continued the hearing to today's meeting for possible adoption. So back on May 4th, the City Council adopted the goals and actions to achieve economic development here in Rio Dell, including the immediate action plan. The plan was developed by an ad hoc committee of Mayor Garnes and Mayor Pro Tem Johnson in consultation with state and local experts. Key advice included to work on becoming the city that businesses want to invest in, and the need to improve upon and capitalize upon the community's natural beauty became an important element of that plan. The council has been working towards other efforts to beautify and clean up the town. And this committee would seek to, proactively create additional opportunities for walkability, for beautification, with an overall goal of increasing a sense of community pride, a sense of community place. So with that, the recommended actions for the council would be to open a public hearing, to receive public input and deliberate based upon that hearing, provide any direction to staff if there are any recommended changes or changes that the council would like. If there are none, we would recommend that the council adopt Ordinance 389 and direct the city clerk to file all necessary paperwork to implement the ordinance. That I'll return it to the mayor.
Thank you, City Manager. Mayor Pro Tem oh, wait, am I on? Wait, let me see. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
No questions. Thank you, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. Councilmember Carter?
No questions. Just, again, so exciting. I love reading about this committee. This just gets me happy. So no questions. Thank you. Looking forward to it.
All right. Good job. Councilmember Wilson?
No questions. Great improvement.
All right. And Councilmember Woodall?
No questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. I just looking forward to it all starting to happen, and the ad hoc committee getting onto it, and I'm just excited about it too. I really am. Are there any hands raised or emails?
There are currently no hands raised.
And there are no emails.
Hearing none, and everyone sounding happy. I'll ask for a motion to adopt the ordinance number 389-2021.
I will make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second by Johnson.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Carter?
Yes.
Councilmember Wilson?
Yes.
Councilmember Woodall?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson?
Yes.
Mayor Garnes?
Yes. Motion carries 5-0. And so we are now on to council reports and communications. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. At our last HCOG meeting in May, we got an update on the speed zone between Eureka and Arcata, which was established nearly 20 years ago in 2002, when the 50-mile-an-hour zone was put in. In recent years, the last few years, there have been a series of 5 contracts that Caltrans has administered or will be administering. An acceleration, deacceleration lanes are put in, completed in 2020. A cable median barrier in 2020. Drainage work has been done. A bridge rail replacement and bridge replacement is currently ongoing and should complete this year. And probably the most exciting of all of this work is the big project that HCOG is funding in major part to put in an Indianola undercrossing and half signal for southbound traffic. Total of all of these projects is estimated to be in the range of $72 million. And when completed, initially when the Indianola undercrossing is completed in 24, 25, the initial speed limit will be set at 50, and then pending a traffic survey, which traffic engineers do, it will be based upon the 85th percentile of what people actually drive. So kind of an update, and I know that this is something very near and dear to Councilmember Wilson and his family. Any questions?
You asked for questions?
Yes.
I'd just like to thank you, not so much the questions, but I'd like to thank you and HCOG for all of the work that they've done to make this happen. You actually see these undercrossings, they're all over the county. And
Yeah.
I think it's a result of all the side roads that came into to 101. And this is just an update to that process that'll make it a safe way for us to drive and pass through. So long time coming, and you are right, it is near and dear to us that we see this happen. So again, pass it on to HCOG that job well done to make this happen.
And also, Frank, I'd like to add that in May last month, why Caltrans advertises that Indianola undercrossing project, and next month they'll have a bid opening, and just due to when a contractor can begin work after all the paper, all the bonds and everything have to be submitted, either begin work late in the summer or next year. So that's why there's a variable finish date of 2024, 2025.
Thank you.
And that's all I have, Mayor Garnes.
Thank you. I'm assuming there are no further questions for Mayor Pro Tem on this. So, okay, I'm hearing nothing. So I'll move on to Councilmember Carter.
Thank you, Mayor Garnes. I attended the Cal City's Transportation, Communications, and Public Works Policy Committee meeting on June 4th. Lots of stuff about broadband, but the most contentious topic had to do with AB 122, which deals with required stops on bicycles and whether or not that should be mandatory. I don't know that we have many bicycle-related accidents or safety issues in Rio Dell. I could ask the chief, but if we do, that might be something we pay attention to. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Wilson.
Yes, a council member, or not council member, Mayor Garnes informed me that the bill that I reported on at the last meeting about the solar regulations and stuff that they were trying to put through in our state has been tabled. The meeting she was at, they announced they would, the sponsor of the bill withdrew it, at least for this year. And so it's good till sometime next year if they want to reintroduce it or continue it. So we'll keep our ears open for that. The other item that might be some good news for the local community is from HWMA, in that they're moving forward on a deal with a company called Hambro out of Crescent City that does the CRV buyback. They've looked to secure a place in Arcata so that they can have a site here in Humboldt County to do buyback for your CRVs. And one of the contingencies that they asked is that HWMA would give them a moratorium, that we wouldn't try to do a non-compete thing. So that's going to be on the next agenda, so that HWMA wouldn't do anything to interfere with that. And so hopefully, they're hoping for a 2-month time frame that you will be able to at least take your CRV to Arcata instead of having to go to Crescent City to get that redeemed. So that's some good positive news. That's all I have.
Thank you.
Mayor
Councilmember, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mayor Gertz, if I may. Chief Connor has entered the meeting, and I know that Councilmember Wilson had a question for him earlier. It might be an opportunity to ask that question.
Yes, Chief Connor, my question was, on your pie chart, you had a big section that was called non-binary. What constitutes non-binary?
Non-binary is somebody who hasn't determined whether they're male or female.
So you asked them that question when you...
You are not allowed to ask. This is your perception. So if how you would come to that determination, I have no idea. But if you
we had 85% that were non-binary. That's my question. How do you come to that decision?
So there shouldn't be, I don't believe there's anybody that we've ever determined to be non-binary.
It looked like on the pie chart that 80-some% were non-binary. So
no, that I don't have it open in front of me, but no, we've never found anybody that's non-binary. We do have one individual that we contact with some frequency who is transgender, and we know that this person is transgender. And so once you know something, that is your perception. And so that person gets counted, of the transgender people, he's probably 9 out of 10 of the contacts that we've had in the last year. But I don't think we've ever had anybody that was non-binary.
I'll have to go back and
bring it to me, and I'll help see if I can figure it out. Or maybe
I'll have to re-understand it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Councilmember Woodall.
Yes, I went to the fire department board meeting this last week. They had something really interesting that I thought. They've done a contract with City Ambulance to have a station in Scotia. They're working on doing some upgrades to the department over there, bedrooms, heating, and stuff, so that we'll have an ambulance service right there. And I think that's great because it'll really cut down on response time when an ambulance is needed. And that's going to be about a month out. They had 64 calls last month, and up to date this year, they've done over 325 calls. Good job, fire department. But I'm really excited about the ambulance service being over in Scotia. And tomorrow we have a nuisance abatement committee meeting. If anybody that's listening to this would like to participate, you can call City Hall for the Zoom info, and it starts at 3:00. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. That is exciting about the ambulance. That's really great. And I attended an environmental quality policy committee meeting and community services. Councilmember Wilson reported out the most reportable thing, and that was that they tabled the one bill that was dealing with solar issues. And I think that's about all I have. Thank you, Julie, for all of your watering and plants and making everything beautiful before we even get to the beautification committee. You're awesome, and you are appreciated.
Thank you.
And that is all I have. Is there anyone who wants to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved by Johnson.
We have a motion. Is there a second? I'll second it. So we have a motion and a second. And thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned. We will see you on July 6th. Good night.
Good evening.
Take care.